all these various aspects of being creative or being artistic or expressions of art are what are covered under the the intellectual property rights regime.
Now, I'm asking this because, especially for our creatives and because the TGMA is coming up, a lot of talk about sampled music and people who are lifting other people's, intellectual property without telling them anything. Then they find presence in their new work they've done, and then they go and file for royalties. They start collecting money and they're chopping it, and even though it's small money, and people have raised questions about those things. For example, what do you say about that? People sampling people's music, for example, is it right? Is it wrong?
You can sample people's music. The issue is not whether or not you can sample the music. The issue is whether or not you have sought the permission from the people who own the music. Now, the people who own the music usually would be the artists themselves or their label, depending on the agreements they have with their label or producers.
Right.
So the thing to do is to ask them for permission. And by permission, not, oh, bro, what's up? I want to use your song.
This is your song. You define me. Or that line, I want to use that for my corner.
Yes, no. Written permission. Write a letter, send an email, say, I would like to use this song for this. Some people may charge, some people may not charge, but at the end of the day, what matters is that you have the permission to use the sample.
Express permission, you mean?
Express permission.
That I have given you my song and you can use it without let or hindrance.
Yes.
Now, how long, for example, if you, maybe Ajua Pencil, have a song, I see some portion of it I like, I cut it, I put it there because you have given me the authority so to use. How long can I use it for?
Well, it depends on the agreements between the parties. For example, Dolly Parton.
Right.
All the royalties from her version of I Will Always Love You, which Whitney Houston did, goes to her.
Okay, go to Whitney Houston.
No, go to Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton, okay.
She didn't even split the royalties with Whitney Houston. She said, I will allow you cover my song on the condition that all the royalties you generate comes to me.
Whoa. So Whitney Houston was just performing the songs.
Yes.
But Dolly Parton was enjoying the juice.
Yes, it's her song. She sat out to write it.
Right.
So it depends. Some people might say, you know what, I really don't want anything. I'm just happy that you want to use my music. Some people may charge and say, I want a percentage of the royalties till whenever. Some people too might say, I want a flat fee.
Okay.
And some people might say, well, I don't want a flat fee. I don't want a percentage of the royalties. But what I would do is I would give you an annual license.
Okay.
So you will pay a fee annually.
Okay.
For the use of the song.
So more like a subscription fee of a song.
Yes.
Now, how long does this writing, say I create a song in 2024, how long does it take for my rights or somebody to say, okay, copywriting class to say so I can go and carry the song and me to do what I want with it? Is there a thing like that?
Actually, yes. If you look at the Copyright Act, Ghana's Copyright Act, which reproduces some of the Berne Convention, the rights are for 70 years. In the Berne...
70?
Yes.
Okay.
70 years so it's for the life of the creative, and then 70 years after they die. So, but in the Berne Convention, which is what our Copyright Act is premised on, it's 20 years. Ghana went a step further and said, 20 years is too small. So for copyright in particular, we would make it 70. So for your entire life, and then for 70. However, if the copyright is held by a corporation, it would exist for life because companies don't die until...
That's like a record label.
Yes.
So if the record label is the one that holds the copyrights, then it's perpetual.
It's until the company dissolves.
But this Ajua Pencil, that's a song.
Yes.
And then she has it her lifetime, and then 70 years after she's dead.
Yes.
Okay, it stays intact.
It stays intact.
That's a long time.
Very.
So if, let's say my father composed a song, he lived throughout and then, he died. It is not yet 70 years, and then somebody picks the song without telling me anything. and uses a bit of the song to do their own thing. They have shows, and each time people request, oh, we want you to play this song, then they play it. I'm playing my show. And they say, oh, play this one. You sound like him, then they play it. Will I be infringing upon the copyright of this individual who's dead?
Yes. I would give you an example. So usually when people die, their interests don't die. Their interest is passed on to their beneficiaries or their administrators. So you would hear people say, oh, Mikoje probate, I'm going to take probate,
Right.
I'm going to take LA, Mikoje LA, to administer the estate. Now what happens is after you're an administrator, you have the right, or you are the executor of the will, you have the right to defend the dead person's interests, even if it's in copyright.
Right.
So an example would be Marvin Gaye. The administrators, I'm not sure if they're administrators or executors of his estate, suing people left and right center because they believe they are infringing
upon his rights.
Right. The recent example being they are sued with Ed Sheeran,
Okay.
where they said Ed Sheeran used a certain composition, and you can find those compositions in Marvin Gaye's song.
Right.
And Ed Sheeran came to say the composition was based on chords.
Okay.
And all these songs have these chords. So he actually sat in court and played
The whole thing.
the whole thing from different
Artists.
yes, different artists, some even predating Marvin Gaye, to show that it was just the chords.
Right.
And that is why he won. But if it was the song that he was lifting properly so called, the executors and or administrators of Marvin Gaye's estate would have had a valid case against him.
The Yam Ponsa rhythm, the Yam Ponsa African rhythm. It's for Ghana.
Yes.
Now, if somebody picks it from, say, the US or even Jamaica to compose a song with it, can Ghana go and say, this is for us, it's a copyright, come and give us Noko Few?
Actually, yes. Very. The funny thing is, I'm actually developing an article on this.
Okay.
Remember the Kirani Ayat issue where they said he used elements of folklore,
Right.
and he didn't seek permission from the National Folklore Board.
Right.
This conversation will tie into that. The folklore, according to our copyright, is vested in our president for and on behalf of all Ghanaian citizens. Folklore is not just Edinkra symbols. You have Edinkra symbols, you have native medicines, you have traditional ways of doing things like kente,
Right,
fugu.
right.
You even have songs, poems, stories like
Right,
Ananse,
right.
and all these things form part of the folklore, and folklore is protected both internationally and locally, because there's a view that if you do not protect the folklore of a country, the country would be at a risk because other people might commercialize it,
Right.
and very soon the country would have lost its cultural heritage or value. And so because of these provisions, if somebody wants to take that tune, they would have to seek permission from the folklore board. Nowadays it's very simple. You just send them an email, they have forms on their website.
Right.
You send them an email with a filled form and a copy of whatever, if it's a song, an MP3 version of the song, if it's a book, the contents of the book to them.
Okay.
They review it, and then they let you know whether or not there's a fee or it's fee exempt. A couple of months ago, we did that for our lead consultant's book, Commercial Arbitration in Ghana by
Right.
Bobby Banson.
Okay.
And we used the Dinkra symbols for the cover art. And so we reached out to them and we sent them a copy of the cover art and said, we are releasing this book and we are using the cover art because this is a product from Ghana and we want to highlight its unique heritage.
But Bobby Banson is Ghanaian.
Yes.
He's my friend. He's a lawyer. Why should Ghanaians be applying to use what is of Ghanaians or for Ghanaians?
Because it's vested in the president. It's like gold and precious minerals.
Right.
The fact that you find it in your land does not give you permission to go and dig and sell. You have to seek permission from the Mines Commission. You have to seek
Minerals Commission, right.
Minerals Commission. Yes, you have to go and get all the requisite permits. So this process is more like getting the requisite permits to use it. And if it wasn't on a commercial basis, so if I'm just doing my notes and I want to do a Dinkra on the top, that is
Okay,
fine. It's
right.
my personal use.
Right.
It's permitted. But for this book, because you are selling it
Selling the book,
and commercializing it, we have to seek permission from the National Folklore Board. And we were anticipating that we would have paid something. And when we sent them a copy of the work, and they said, oh, this is fee exempt. You will not be, we acknowledge you are registered, but this is fee exempt. And so a lot of people might think, oh my goodness, they are going to charge so much. They are going to take this much money. But sometimes it's fee exempt. You just need to register.
That brings me to, when you speak to you lawyers, you talk about moral rights, economic rights, and you be hitting our head left, right, center. What are these moral rights and economic rights?
So for economic rights, there are rights that arise out of the commercialization or exploitation of the rights. So if I'm selling the music, if I'm selling the books, if I'm exchanging the dances for money, wherever there's a flow of money in exchange for these rights, these are commercial rights or economic rights. Moral rights are rights that come from the creator itself, and you cannot dash them away. Unlike your economic rights, I can write a song and say, I'm selling my song to you for you to use, as many of our artists do. And that is the economic rights. But the commercial rights is, I am the writer of the song. Whatever I do, I cannot dash that fact to you. I always have to be acknowledged
that I composed the song.
That I composed it, that I wrote it. And those are your moral rights. They give you the right to be acknowledged as the creator, and also the right to prevent your work from being ridiculed or mocked. So this is a very dicey example. You see the Vandals and the very interesting versions of songs they have. Fruity songs for Jama, yes. If a composer decides that I do not like the purpose for which these songs are being used, I want to maintain the sanctity and integrity in my work. The moral rights of that composer will allow them to go to the Vandals and say, please stop using my music. If Vandals say no, he can go to court and say, my work is being brought.
And restrict them from doing so.
Exactly.
I see. Let's wrap up the conversation this way, because we will have to continue this some other time.
No problem.
So a song is composed. In the song, there's a guitarist. Then there's a bassist. There's a drummer, there's a trumpeter, there's somebody who plays the saxophone, somebody who plays the keyboard, another keyboardist, and some vocalist backup and everything else. They record a song in the studio, live session. Do they all have rights in the song?
It depends.
On what?
For example, for the background vocals, if they did not contribute to the composure or the composition, composition of the song in any way, and they are just backing vocalists, then they will not have any rights. But if they contributed to the composition of the song itself by either a verse or some ad-libs, they would have a right in the song. Same for the bassists and for the instrumentalists.
So for example, that I'm giving the software notation to say, the amanuensis gives me the software notation to say, play do, mi, so, fa, re, so, do. Then at some point I add, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, so, do, mi. So that do, ti, la, so, fa, I added, gives me an opportunity for to claim a right in the song?
Yes, it does.
Because I helped in the composition.
Exactly. It even entitles you to what we call mechanical royalties, which are royalties that come from the composers and the writing or the actual creators of the song. Now, the issue is that for these rights, obviously, they will not be the same and they will not be equal. What we would advise is that you have a split sheet and say, okay, because you contributed this melody, you're entitled to 20%. Because you contributed the most, you're entitled to 50%. Because you brought the beats, you're entitled to this percent. The issue is a lot of people do not do a split sheet.
Why?
A lot of people, sometimes they do not.
Is it because of friendship or
friendship. Oh, my friend. Yes, a lot of people do. We are friends. But that friendship and money is not always the case. So we would advise you to do a split sheet so that everybody knows at the beginning that because of their varying contributions, they are entitled to this much. It's different if they say, oh, you're my friend, I don't want you to charge. And in such situations, I will tell you, get that in writing.
Okay. Ajua Pencil, thank you very much, Mama. We'll continue this conversation in some good time. Regards to Bobby Banson, he has abandoned me.
Oh, he hasn't.
But I won't say anything. I won't say anything. I know he's a big man now, so I won't say anything. I'll say what I want to say later. but we have to go.
No
Thank you
problem.
very much indeed
Thank
for
you
your
too for
time this
having me.
morning, and thank you for being with us throughout the week. We will see you next week, hopefully. On behalf of the rest of the team, have a great one, and know that if you can think it and your heart can believe it, only you can achieve it. My name is Johnny Hughes. Have a good morning.